Hey guys, and welcome to Exploring Cinema. So, last week, since I was having a lot of fun just talking about the different subjects and topics that happened during the movie news, while I loved it, I kind of felt like I was coming on a bit too late, because with my sleep schedule, I'm always working the night shift, so anytime that a new topic would come out, I'd just miss them, and then by the time I was talking about them, either the stories would have lost their meaning, or, you know, it was just a little too late. So I thought, how can I fix this? How can I make this, you know, still count, but it's not, like, breaking news, or it didn't happen in the past couple hours? So I decided what I wanted to do was take some of those videos, which I originally called My Thoughts, and I'm just going to break them apart. I'll still have my thoughts, but they'll be more like editorials. But now I want to do a new segment or show where I just talk about the movie news called Last Week in Cinema. And that's basically where I look at the previous week and I release this on every Monday. I'm going to try to do this every Monday so that I can do it right after everything just fixes up. And sorry if I stutter a lot, because I'm going to try to not really edit this video, so this is going to be a lot of fun for us. But, yeah, so right here I have in front of me my notes from the entire week. I literally spent the entire week just learning about the news, just formulating my own thoughts, and just, I just wanted to give some of my opinions on the breaking news. And quite a bit happened. And also keep in mind that each section that I talk about were my as of that time views when it was breaking news. So if anything updated between now and then, it'll either not have been shown because it wasn't breaking news throughout the week, or I'll have it updated in another topic. I'll try to fix that, but like I said, this is kind of new for me. And also, I will have a bit of a hard time looking at the camera because, you know, just making sure that I have all of my notes down and just making sure that I have everything right. So maybe a little bit down the line, when I'm more used to writing, I'll be able to focus more on you guys for a bit. But, okay, so this first video will be from any news that occurred from Monday, November 6th, to Sunday, November 12th. And luckily, on Sunday and Saturday, there wasn't too much news, so that actually made my weekend a lot easier. So, the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm actually going to adjust my seat. The first thing that I'm going to do with each of these episodes is I'm going to go on the weekend box office. And so let's get started on that. And keep in mind that this is for the US domestic box office, and not the worldwide box office. And this was for the last weekend. Let me make sure that the dates are right. Yeah, this is the weekend of November 3rd to the 5th, so Friday through Sunday. Okay, so I'm gonna do this in descending order. In fifth place with $3.1 million was Geostorm, and right now, damn it, I forgot how I was going to do that. I'm going to list off all of them and then I'll give my thoughts. Okay, I'm going to try this again. So, in 5th place is Geostorm with $3.1 million. In 4th place was Tyler Perry's Boo 2, A Madea Halloween with $4.5 million. In 3rd place was Jigsaw, the new Saw franchise film, with $6.5 million. And then 2nd place was the sequel to Bad Moms from last year called A Bad Moms Christmas, and that ended up with $16 million. And I believe that was its first weekend, but I'll have to look again. And the 1st place, and this actually made me really happy, was Thor Ragnarok with $122.7 million. Now, let's put all this into perspective. First off, and let me just check my notes. Yeah. Geostorm was in its 3rd week and had only made a total gross of $28 million, domestically at least. And actually, no, I believe that was worldwide. 28. I may be wrong, but I'll have to check a little bit later. But either way, $28 million off of a $120 million budget. So there's no way that this movie's going to be profitable. It's going to be a box office bomb. Actually, hi. What's up? Huh? Yeah, sure, go ahead. Sorry, my fiance Mallory was worried that she was gonna make some noise, so she was just asking real quick. Thanks.
You kept me waiting for so long.
I was saying that was fine. You can do whatever you want. Just...
I know, but I'm just like, I can't mess you up. Fuck.
That's fine. It's not like a regular video where I have to like edit everything out. It's fine.
You should edit that part out though.
No.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, no, I actually did write this in my notes. I did point out that the worldwide box office was probably gonna make the loss to the studio a lot less, and it actually did rake in an extra 80 million or so for Geostorm, so that's good. Okay, and then with the Tyler Perry movie, I know little to nothing about this one or the predecessor, except for the fact that the sequel made about 20, or, damn it. I'm really bad at this, I'm sorry guys. Let me see. Yeah, this sequel was made for about 25-30 million for the budget, and it's already made $43 million. So it's definitely made a profit, because the way that it works with budgets, yeah, sure, even if you get a couple million above the budget, that doesn't mean that you broke even, because there's always the marketing budget, and nobody ever puts that in the budget for some reason. I have no idea why. As for Jigsaw, the third place, the film's still going strong, and now for those of you who've seen my review of Jigsaw, you know that I think it's a piece of shit movie. It's definitely one of the worst movies I've seen all year. But since it was made on a $10 million budget, it's already made 28 million, so it's more than profitable, and it's safe to say that there's another sequel coming around the corner. God, I'm really not looking forward to this. As for A Bad Moms Christmas, the sequel to the surprise hit of last year, Bad Moms, and I actually thought that movie was kind of funny. I was actually really impressed with it. It's made a couple $1 million less than its predecessor did, but like the first one, I'm sure that it'll gain a little bit more traction as it goes, as it gets closer to Christmas, which actually does make sense. And then the reigning champion of the last weekend, Thor Ragnarok. This film was already making headway for the past couple of weeks due to critic reviews, audience reception, and the fact that it had already made $110 million overseas before even coming to America. Because I guess Marvel likes dropping their stuff early in Europe. But yeah, Ragnarok completely dominated the box office last weekend. The total gross, let me check. The total gross was, what did I say? Okay, $122 million, and it's the highest for a Thor film. But here's what's most impressive about it. You see, I did some research into the box office of the first Thor movie, directed by Kenneth Branagh, and then Thor: The Dark World, which I think is one of, if not the worst MCU movie, although you could still have fun with it. But the result is awe-inspiring. So listen to this. The first Thor, the opening weekend, made $65 million, and then worldwide overall, with its end at the box office, was $449 million. Then we got Thor: The Dark World. It opened up at about 20 million more than the previous one, so about 85 million. And then the end for worldwide overall is 644 million. Now, Thor Ragnarok, opening, as I said, was 122 approximately million, and worldwide, as of last weekend, was 427 just in 1 week. So already, just in its first week, it was just 20 million behind the overall opening at the end of the box office for the original Thor, and I think that's amazing. And it's already set to pass the first two Thor movies that have come out before it. And with how much money they probably grossed altogether in just a couple of weeks. Actually, I'm pretty sure that they did say that it was going to go over Thor: The Dark World in overall gross. literally this weekend, but the box office numbers haven't come out yet, so we'll just see how it is. But that's amazing, and I will say that I'm gonna guess that the film as a whole is gonna, it's gonna at least hit, I'm gonna say 850,000, or not thousand, 850 million, which would put it about 30 million below Spider-Man Homecoming, which as of now is the highest grossing comic book movie of 2017. But who knows, I may be wrong, and it may even actually go higher. And could it hit the $1 billion mark? For right now, I'm going to say no, but let's see what the box office numbers for the weekend that we're in right now, or at least as of me filming this. Let's see where we are at that point, and who knows, I may actually get to change my answer. Oh, sorry. I need some water. And okay, so after every box office rundown, I will do every single topic. And what I will do, I will start putting all the topics in the description. And if you want to jump to a specific topic, go ahead. I'll try to do the runtimes, but it just depends on how that works out. Okay, so for our next topic, for those of you who don't know, there's a new film coming out in December directed by Ridley Scott, the director of movies like The Martian, the original Aliens, and of course, or not Aliens, he directed Alien, the original Alien movie, as well as the newer Prometheus movies and Alien Covenant. He's made some good movies, some bad movies. But he's coming out with a film called All the Money in the World, and I'm sure you guys have already heard of this. Well, one of the main characters is played by Kevin Spacey, who we all know has had these sexual harassment allegations against him at the moment. And as of writing these notes, it had gotten so bad that we may never see the next season of House of Cards. And all I know is that they already fired Spacey, so I don't even know if they were done filming the season. But we may have actually already witnessed the end of Netflix's Flag Show, which makes me sad because I was a fan. It's just that I didn't like the last season. I thought it was very mediocre. But getting back on topic, Sony was going to have this huge Oscar push for Spacey specifically in the film. And they were even going to showcase it at the American Film Institute Festival that was coming up. I don't even think it's come yet. I think it's supposed to be sometime in the first week of December. I'm not sure about that. But it's not going to happen. The AFI part is not going to happen, especially the former part with the Oscar push, and here's why. An update from Collider.com states, Sony has officially canceled the AFI premiere screening of All the Money in the World, adding in a statement that the film is, quote, a superb film and more than worthy of its place of honor in the AFI Fest. But given the current allegations surrounding one of its actors, and out of respect for those impacted, it would be an inappropriate time to celebrate it at a gala at this difficult time. And the studio says that the film is still planning, and the studio is Sony Pictures. They're still planning on doing the December 22nd release date where they open wide, same as planned. And the reason why they're releasing this, and I actually thought this was great, despite all of the Kevin Spacey outrage, there are around 800 people that are part of the cast and the crew, and the way that Sony sees it, everybody who was a part of this movie made time to work on this movie and just wanted to make it the best movie that they could. So the studio doesn't want all of their hard work to go to waste, and I absolutely love that reason. Now that is a studio. That there is a studio that cares about its employees. You know what? Good on you, Sony. There's no reason to punish somebody just because one person is a potential asshat, but I'll get more into that later. And for those of you who want me to comment on the actual allegations, I am not qualified enough to discuss those things, nor do I think my opinion really matters on that end. I don't know. It's whatever. Let's get on to the next topic. Okay. So for the next topic, though the CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, has announced that he will be stepping down sometime next year, or I think it was about this time next year, because, you know, he either wants to retire or he wants to move on to other things. But this man, who is responsible for the purchases of Pixar, Lucasfilm, and Marvel Studios, seems that he may have had another major purchase in mind before his time with the company ends. And it's been reported that there have been on-again, off-again negotiations between Disney and 20th Century Fox, or as it seems to be called in certain news articles, 21st Century Fox. I guess it's like a smaller company within 20th Century Fox. I don't know what exactly it entails, but it's supposed to involve Disney acquiring certain parts of Fox. I'm not sure what exactly they are. I haven't seen a report on it. I've mostly seen rumors, so I'm not going to really comment on that unless the rumor seems substantial, but I will tell you I didn't really talk about any rumors with that. Now, it's really, at first it wasn't exactly clear if they wanted what they wanted to purchase from Fox, as I said, or if it was just a blanket statement, but a lot of people speculate that it involves a few things. Like one, 20th Century Fox still has the distribution rights to Star Wars A New Hope. I mean, Disney owns the Star Wars name, but they still own the distribution rights. Like, okay, for instance, I have Vudu. That is my main streaming for movies that I want to buy. That's my basic VOD, video on demand service. And I own every single Star Wars movie on there, including the prequels, blah blah blah. The difference between all of them, the first three prequels, you get this nice thing where it says Lucasfilm in the front, and it's got like John Williams-esque music. And then for Empire and Return of the Jedi, it has the same thing. And then Force Awakens, we know all that. But the difference is that Star Wars A New Hope actually has that 20th Century Fox opening with the da 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 da. You know, the one that you always thought of when the Lucasfilm sign clears up, like the thing that we remember from childhood before Disney bought it. So that's the main difference. And oh yeah, it could also mean the acquisition of Fox's Marvel branch, meaning let me see, every major Marvel Comics property that Fox owns, i.e. X-Men, Fantastic Four, Deadpool, and hell, even Logan, would potentially come under the Marvel Studios umbrella, opening doors to combine these various characters and universes within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, of course, for the Marvel part, it would potentially screw up the continuity of the MCU. So if this did happen, I think that Disney would most likely keep the MCU and the mutant world separate, which is good, but it does make me worry that the experimentation that Fox has been doing so far with movies like Deadpool and Logan, which Logan, oh my god, I will say, if you guys haven't seen my review, it's really old, so it was back when I had no idea what I was doing, but I would say it's one of the top 5 greatest comic book movies of all time. I would go that far to say it. I absolutely love it. Oh, and as well as the upcoming New Mutants film that's coming out. I didn't like the trailer, but who knows, it may be good. And let's not skip the fact that Disney could actually reboot the Fantastic Four property and put it in the MCU. I actually think I would like that. But personally, for the reasons of films like Logan and Deadpool, I really don't want the deal to go through. Though it's not for that specifically. If it's not, I'll be kind of cool with it. But I need to know more details before I feel that the news is good. Although they did actually say the same day that I wrote the notes, excuse me, they did say that they were not in talks as of the moment, and what it seems like is that they're not going to be in talks anymore. I really have no idea. We'll have to see in the next couple weeks. Okay, so on to the next topic. This has to do with the upcoming Justice League movie, and it actually comes out as of making this video, 6 days. 6 days until it comes out. I'm kind of excited as of this point, because all of the a lot of social media reviews have come out, and it's been mostly positive, so I'm actually happy about this. But this has to do specifically with a mandated runtime that Justice League supposedly had. So, recently, Warner Brothers revealed that the runtime for their Justice League film clocked in at just under 2 hours, like just a hair, 1 hour and 59 minutes. So let's basically say it's 2 hours. Many film fans were very surprised, and there were even some extremely upset fans claiming that you can't do an ensemble film at 2 hours or less, even though it's been done before. Excuse me, my throat hurts. Anyway, it would seem that hitting the runtime was no accident. It has been revealed that the CEO of Warner Brothers, whose name I'm not gonna say because I know I'm definitely gonna butcher his last name. His last name is Japanese, and I'm really bad with Japanese names. He made it clear that he wanted the film to come in at or under 2 hours. And the mandate came in the wake of the about 2.5 hour film that Zack Snyder had already done for Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Not to mention the fact that there's also a director's cut that's an extra 30 minutes. So I think it's like, yeah, it's about 3 hours, if not a little bit longer. And many people actually thought that it was bloated just at the 2.5 hour mark, and yeah, it kind of was. But the filming process for Justice League was actually kind of unique. First, Jeff Johns, who can basically be seen as the... Oh, excuse me. This is gonna be shit. This is gonna be shit because I'm not editing. He's basically the Kevin Feige of DC, I guess. And they brought him in to oversee the upcoming films and basically make sure that the films have more of an optimistic tone. And then they asked the director at the time, Zack Snyder, and then the screenwriter, Chris Terrio, I believe I'm pronouncing his name right, to make a hopeful movie. And they thought that the process made with Snyder's cut had made a good amount of progress, but it really wasn't enough. And then, of course, the tragedy with the Snyder family happened, and that was actually really hard to hear, especially because I kept hearing rumors online that it was because of her father that everything happened. I really hope that that's not how it was, because honestly, if I ever got confirmation that that was true, I would actually cry, because God, there's a reason why I don't want kids. Yeah, the tragedy happened, and then they brought on the director of, I believe he was a creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as well as the director for Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron, Joss Whedon. They brought him on for the reshoots. And it's also been confirmed that due to the reshoots, the budget is now around $300 million. I don't know how many films have had budgets that close, but that seems way too high to have happened before. Anyway, according to the reports, the post-production focused on melding the tones of Snyder and Whedon. And there was something in a Collider.com article that suggested that audience scores for the new cuts are similar to the audience scores of Wonder Woman. Now, I'm not sure where that news came from, since at the time that the report came out, the review embargo and social media embargo was still up. So that was a bit weird, but right now, it does seem like it actually is kind of aiming towards that with the current social media reviews that have come out on Twitter and such. Also, just as a small bit of news tied to Justice League, Jason Momoa did confirm that Justice League does have a post-credit scene. Does that mean anything to me? Not really. I mean, I don't care enough yet to anticipate it as much as I would for an MCU mid or post-credit scene. But anyway, I do kind of like that they wanted to shorten it, but at the same time, it really doesn't matter. Like, as long as the movie's paced fine, who cares how long it is? And also for the people who are actually pissed that the movie's not longer, I mean, come on. I'm pretty sure that, actually, let me look this up. I'm gonna look up the runtime for the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because that introduced even more new characters than Justice League will. Let me see. And I believe that was actually shorter. Okay, never mind. Wait. I was about to say never mind, but 2 hours and 16 minutes. No, never mind. That's for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I am sorry. Sorry about this. I guess I didn't prepare. I didn't expect to answer this. My internet froze. Damn it. No, no. Okay, yeah, you guys are gonna see me, like, mess up a bit. Okay, the runtime is 2 hours and 2 minutes. So literally 3 minutes longer. A movie can do it in 2 hours. It's obvious. Anyway, that's it with that topic. Sorry, I'm trying to cut it out. Okay, and for the next topic, for those of you who are unaware of the Disney news, that I mentioned earlier, you probably were not also aware, although by this point you probably are, about Disney banning the LA Times from press junkets. This came in the response of an article from the LA Times published about Disneyland and its relationship with the city of Anaheim, and Disney came out saying that the article was deceptive. For me personally, I was okay with it. I mean, I guess it looked interesting, but there was a lot of stuff that seemed like it was kind of a fluff piece, and if you're curious about the article, I'll try to put a link for it in the description below, but I'm probably not going to be able to find it by this point. But anyway, if the article was really deceptive, then Disney's well in their rights to ban them from press junkets, not giving them a chance to write their own reviews on their films. And Disney doesn't do this with everyone who makes a bad article on them. Whenever it's truthful, they've been open about it in the past, or at least from what I've seen. And so, they must truly believe that the article is filled with lies. Maybe not all of it, but enough to really warrant this response. Anyway, related to that, 4 critic groups had released a statement saying that if the ban on the LA Times was not lifted, then they would not even think about considering any Disney films, animated or whatever, for their year-end awards. And these groups are the Los Angeles Film Critics Association, the New York Film Critics Circle, the Boston Society of Film Critics, and the National Society of Film Critics. 4 really big and famous groups. And here in my notes, I actually wrote down the full statement that they had. Shit, I'm having trouble scrolling. Okay, the members of the Los Angeles Film Critics, New York, blah, 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 jointly denounced the Walt Disney Company's media blackout of the Los Angeles Times. Furthermore, all 4 critics organizations have voted to disqualify Disney's films from year-end awards consideration until said blackout is publicly rescind. On November 3rd, the Times published a statement that its writers and editors have been blocked from attending advanced screenings of Disney films in response to the Times' news coverage of Disney's business arrangements. Disney's actions, which include an indefinite ban of any interaction with the Times, is antithetical. Damn it, I'm really bad with reading words. Antithetical to the principles of a free press and set out a dangerous precedent in a time of already heightened hostility towards journalists. While I understand that their hearts, or where exactly their hearts and minds are at, I have to say that my opinions clash with the critic organizations. And I'll give you 3 reasons why. 1, press screenings are a privilege, not a right, whether you're a small-time independent critic like me, who currently does not get any screenings, or even if you're a member of the press. It's not a big, important reason, but I think that it's important enough to mention. Okay, number 2. If seeing an early screening of the film is about freedom of the press, where's the fucking outrage for a film that doesn't do any kind of critic screenings before, like, let me think. Okay, The House, that film with Amy Poehler and Will Ferrell. That didn't get shown to any critics beforehand. Why is nobody bitching about that? Seriously, it makes no sense. And then for the last reason, this is the biggest, but nobody, during this entire time, nobody seemed to be checking out if Disney's claims were true by either doing research themselves or just fucking asking Disney. I didn't see it at all. And then after that, after all, this is a serious allegation, and there are some news companies, particularly in Anaheim, who say that the article seems like nothing but a hit piece. You know, basically, it is deceptive. It is a fluff piece. It's made to stir some controversy, to sell papers, and get more attention. Listen, if the questions were being asked, I'd still give Disney the benefit of the doubt. Simply because, unless there's evidence that they were actually in the wrong and they were trying to shut up a journalist simply because of bad press, then I would actually be on the other side. But, hey, if Disney's claims are true, then fuck yeah, they should be allowed to do exactly what they've done. I mean, I'm not saying that either side is more justified or not. I'm just saying that some of the evidence that I've seen through the press suggests that maybe Disney is in the right, and even if they're not, there's not enough fucking evidence to suggest one way or another. And I'm mostly concerned at how the news will jump to the conclusion that early critic viewings are a right and not a privilege. Also, I just want these damn corporations to do some goddamn simple fact-checking. And also, shortly after I wrote these notes, I did see an update that the story, Disney had actually ended its boycott on the LA Times following the backlash of the boycotting of advanced screenings. And their statement to the New York Times stated, we have had productive discussions with the newly installed leadership at the LA Times regarding our specific concerns, and as a result, we've agreed to restore the access to advanced screenings for their film critics. This honestly sounds like politics, and I feel like Disney got backed into a corner and they didn't have the chance to do anything, but, you know, what do I know? I'm just a small-time film critic who just has a couple of opinions. But yeah, there's been no news as of now whether the allegations were true or not, but I guess the fucking truth doesn't matter to the press as much as getting their own way. Okay, on to a slightly better topic. Excuse me. I had been sick for a little while, and every once in a while phlegm gets really bad in my throat, so it's going to be hard to talk, but I will get through this! I will get through this. Okay, so years ago it was announced that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would portray Black Adam, the nemesis of Shazam, who used to be Captain Marvel, in the DC Cinematic Universe. First he was going to appear in the Shazam movie, and then they said that he wouldn't appear until his own self-titled standalone movie, which to my knowledge still doesn't have a release date. I'd have to check for next weekend if I remember, but knowing me, I'm probably not going to. We may not have to wait too long to see him. Two Project insiders on the Suicide Squad sequel have confirmed that the current plan for the Suicide Squad is for them to be tasked with tracking down a weapon of mass destruction. And in case you don't know what that weapon is, it's Black Adam. And personally, I think this is kind of weird because there isn't anybody powerful enough on the Suicide Squad to go up against Black Adam. I mean, Black Adam has gone up against Superman in the comics, and I'm pretty sure he's won a few times, so I don't understand. I believe he's gonna... I don't know. Anyway, we'll see how this goes if this report is true, because the Rock and his people have denied all of this, and yet at the same time, I don't know, there's just too many conflicting things. It's not really sure, but we'll see how they go about it when Suicide Squad 2 comes out, if the rumor is actually true. And speaking of more DC-related stuff, DC Warner Brothers. Good water. This is another one. Many months ago, The Hollywood Reporter, or THR, as I will most likely call them throughout the rest of this video and other videos, they published an article from one of their journalists that said that a few of her Warner Brothers contacts, now her, I don't remember the name exactly, it was a while ago, but they told her personally that WB, Warner Brothers, and DC were planning an exit strategy for Ben Affleck as Batman, and ever since then, I did believe that he would perhaps do at least one more movie after Justice League, perhaps the Matt Reeves standalone Batman movie, especially because he was going to direct that at one point, and he did write the script. Not the newer one, but like the the previous one. Well, at an interview during a press run for Justice League, they were interviewing both Affleck and our beloved Jason Momoa, and as well as Ray Fisher, the guy who's going to be playing Cyborg. And you'll see why I mentioned those two names in a little bit. The interviewer asked Affleck who looked like he had no energy whatsoever compared to Fisher and Momoa, you could have made the argument that he was just exhausted from the press junket, because they can be very exhausted, and the other two are much younger than him in years, and will obviously be more filled with energy. But at the same time, you could make the argument that Affleck had no enthusiasm for what he was doing. Whatever you believe. But the next part may actually confirm your thoughts or change them depending on who you are, whether you think he's going to stay on as Batman, do a couple more, or if he's basically done. So, being asked how many times he had portrayed Batman from the interviewer, Affleck said, if you include Suicide Squad, 3 times, because he had a cameo role, a couple of cameo scenes in Suicide Squad if you hadn't seen them, or the trailers. So then the interviewer asked if he was looking to portray the character at least, maybe say 2 more times. And the way that Ben Affleck said it, and I can't find the actual link. I tried to before starting this video, but I can't find the video. I have no idea why, but you guys can go ahead and look. He said in the most unenthusiastic way, and may as well have been in a dismissive way. He was like, oh, I don't know, we'll see how the future holds. And now, the interview was short, so the guy asking questions probably wasn't allotted enough time to actually go on a tangent with his response, and plus, he probably didn't want to. Honestly, that would have made things really awkward. So, the reaction online can be basically summed up as, oh my god, he's really done as Batman. And hell, even the people who were the deniers for the long time saying, no, Affleck is gonna be is gonna be Batman forever. Even they're thinking, oh shit. And now, I don't necessarily want him to go. I think that he has the potential to be the best live-action Batman we've ever had, and I'm actually okay with the Batman that kills. And I would love to see him continue, I really would. But hey, if he's really not having fun with DC, or working under DC and Warner Brothers for this, or even if he's a bit stressed because of what he's had to do with the role, I don't want to see him suffer on our accounts. I mean, if it's time for him to go, then it's time to go. I just wish we had more time with him. Just remember that the idea of him leaving doesn't mean that we can't get a new Batman who's either just as good or even better. Just so keep that in mind. On to the next topic. You guys probably remember a time when Universal had announced that they wanted to do an entire franchise with a bunch of their classic Universal monsters. And they called it the Dark Universe franchise. And they announced all of these early movies. They wanted to take all of these classic movie monsters like the Mummy, the Invisible Man, Frankenstein's monster, monsters like that. And actually, I will go ahead and say, I love Creature of the Black Lagoon. That is one of my favorite old-time movies, and that is actually my favorite Universal monster. I think that character is so intriguing, but then again, that's mainly because I love underwater shit. And I was hoping for that too. But before they even released the first movie, which is the 3rd reboot of The Mummy, we got an ensemble picture of people like Tom Cruise, Russell Crowe, Sofia Boutella, Johnny Depp, and Javier Bardem, making it seem like all of these stars were locked into their respective projects. Cruise, Russell, and Boutella with The Mummy, Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man, and Javier Bardem as either Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster. I tried to look this up. I got conflicting things. I wasn't able to find out which was which. But, actually, which, by the way, before I even get back on topic, Javier Bardem was never even locked into the role. He was in talks to play the role, yes, but he was never locked in. Anyway, going off of that tangent, their first film, The Mummy, comes out, and it's a disaster. I mean, it wasn't a bomb. Don't get it wrong. Just so that you don't get that thought in your heads. It did make a profit, just not as big as Universal wanted. It was a disaster, however, because... Oh, sorry, I actually squeezed this. It was a disaster, however, because of the critical reception, as well as the overall movie-going audience's reaction. And if you've seen my review of The Mummy from earlier this year, you know that I, myself, actually hated the film. But whatever your opinion is, whether you enjoyed it or not, we all seem to agree that it was a disappointing wait, did I say... It was a disappointment money-wise. as a movie, or even, yeah, I would even say that people who did enjoy it would say that it is kind of disappointing as a movie. And it's just embarrassing seeing Universal make these gigantic plans and just seeing them fail right out the gate, and even kind of before they even got to the gate. And even their next film, Bride of Frankenstein, has been put on hold, which probably means that the movie is dead. But anyway, back on topic. It's been announced that the, sorry, my nose itches. That the Kevin Feige's of the Dark Universe franchise, Alex Kurtzman and Chris Morgan, have departed the franchise. I'm pretty sure one of them actually, I think one of them directed The Mummy. I'd have to actually look that up, but I don't want to right now. Because that would take way too long. I think this news is a very likely hint that the franchise is at an end. And it's the end of a franchise that never really started. Let's be honest there. And I will admit that I am slightly sad because of what I said earlier. I wanted a new Creature of the Black Lagoon movie, and most likely I will not see it. But who knows? Maybe someday Universal will not focus on a damn cinematic universe and hopefully just focus on making good or even great horror movies that that one, don't focus on the action portion like The Mummy did, and two, don't cost around $100 million. That was stupid in the beginning. Okay, so for the next topic, and this actually goes back to the Ridley Scott movie that I talked about earlier, All the Money in the World. It was announced a couple of days after that last report that I gave you that while they are definitely keeping the December release date, Sony Pictures cut Kevin Spacey from the entire film altogether. And this news came after a couple more allegations from any sexual assault victims and people who knew them. Like, for instance, they included a former Boston TV news anchor who claimed that Spacey sexually assaulted her 19-year-old son last year, as well as a former London bartender who claimed that he was groped in the nether regions by Spacey. So now Sony has announced that they will be reshooting all of Spacey's scenes with the renowned actor and Oscar winner Christopher Plummer. And I'm trying to think of a movie that he was in that you guys would know. Oh, Sound of Music. He was the dad. He was the dad all those years ago. Anyway, this is very unprecedented, and this is indication of just how serious all of these allegations are. Even if, okay, let's say that either none of them were true and it's just a bunch of people piggybacking on it, which I highly doubt that's the case, or even if some of them or most of them aren't true. These are still very serious, and I'm glad that they're taking it seriously the way they are. Ridley Scott, as well as the producers, Bradley Thomas and Dan Friedkin, as well as the rest of the cast and crew, they all agreed to this. They made the decision to remove those scenes because they felt like the film would hurt in the long run, excuse me, if Spacey was still showcased, and it would just be an insult to the rest of the cast and crew. And I do think that that's a smart move, and besides, Scott wanted Christopher Plummer in the movie in the first place. It was Sony Pictures who decided to add Spacey because they wanted somebody with more credibility. I mean, think about it. How many of you people know Christopher Plummer? I don't know how many of you, but probably not all of you, if none of you. It just, I don't know. Like, I didn't know him until a couple of years ago, and that was because, like, I got really into knowing who actors are so I can really remember them and appreciate them. But now the filmmakers have a little over a month to complete the reshoots and fit them in the film. No idea how it'll be seamless, but it's not that expensive of a movie for $40 million to have reshoots be done quickly. But we'll see how it is when the film actually comes out. But before I go on to the next topic, it was actually confirmed that Ridley Scott did not want to do any kind of like CGI overlay for the scenes being replaced because a couple of the scenes were on location in exotic places. Like, I'm pretty sure in the trailer one of them was in Egypt, and he didn't want to do that. So the reshoots are actually going to cost about $2.5 million. So it is going to cost them a little more to add it. And films like that don't really make that much money at first in the box office. Really, it's mostly going to get critical recognition and maybe some awards, and maybe that'll help it in the future, but I don't know if it's going to make a profit while it's in theaters. Okay. Now for the next topic. As you guys who have been with me for a bit, and you've been watching my film reviews, you know that one of my favorite movies from this year is Blade Runner 2049. I absolutely love that film. It's a critically acclaimed film, with many considering it a masterpiece. I'm gonna go ahead and say, including myself, I think it's a fucking amazing movie. That's the kind of movie that people are gonna draw inspiration from in the future. Just like Star Wars was for so many directors that are working today. It was a financial bomb, though. And THR actually released an article suggesting that Blade Runner 2049 could lose the production company, Alcon Studios, $80 million. And the film has made, as of November 5th, I haven't checked the actual updated thing, but I don't think it's added too much more. But, it made, $240.6 million off of a $155 million production. Sure, the difference in the numbers may actually make it seem like the film made a profit, but one thing that I mentioned earlier is that studios don't input the marketing cost into the film budget, which I think is really stupid. It's stupid. The producers of the film, Andrew Kozov, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and Broderick Johnson told THR the film would need to earn $400 million worldwide to be considered a win, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. I mean, it's barely over halfway right now, and the movie's been out for over a month. Yeah, that's not good. And it's interesting, kind of, because the original film bombed in the box office as well, but the film did actually make a profit in later years because of re-releases, as well as seven different cuts, with the final cut being considered one of the top 100 greatest films of all time. But only time will tell if Blade Runner actually Blade Runner 2049 will actually gain a profit, but it'll probably take a couple of decades, just like the original 1982 Blade Runner did. Okay, and on to the next topic. A while ago, Sony Pictures announced that they were potentially looking at making a film based off of the beloved Metal Gear Solid franchise of video games. And I don't have too many comments on the story, simply because I don't know too much about Metal Gear. I've only played one game, and that was Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, just because it looked amazing. I saw a friend who used to work with me that actually moved on to another job. He owned the game, and I watched him play it a couple times, and I thought it was fantastic. And that's one of my easy obsessions whenever I'm playing it, because I fucking love that game. There now seems to be pretty big movement with the announcement of someone new added to the writing team, and that writer is Derek Connolly. He's the writer of Safety Not Guaranteed and Jurassic World, but sadly Monster Trucks and Kong Skull Island. I'm like half excited, but I'm also half worried, because the first two films I did enjoy, although I need to actually look back and see if I think Jurassic World is good, because I know there's a lot of people who hate it, but the last two were shit, but we'll see how that goes. That was a short topic. I just thought it was notable. Oh, I forgot that this topic was next. Okay. I gotta compose myself. Now, for those of you who know me, or have been with the channel for a while, you know that I love and I live and breathe Star Wars. Sure, I'm not a big fan of the prequels, but I'm in love with the universe. And also, I loved Force Awakens, whatever you guys say. Sure, there's parts that could be said that you can argue was a rehash, but honestly, you guys asked for it. You wanted something more like the original trilogy, and you got it, so shut up. And I'm super excited for Last Jedi. And sorry about this next part, because I'm going to be ranting and rambling, but the main reason why I was really excited for the film was because, or The Last Jedi, was because of the writer/director Rian Johnson. And Johnson has only made 3 other films prior to Last Jedi, and I've already reviewed 2 of them. I've reviewed Brick, which I think is a masterpiece. like a really small, low-budget masterpiece. And then Brothers Bloom, I did the second one. I thought that was okay. And then the next movie, I'm not going to say what I think about it because I'm going to review it in the next couple of weeks, but it's called Looper. A lot of you may remember that. That was a surprise at the box office when it came out. Hell, I even saw it with my mother in the theater. I thought that was weird, but I was really surprised when it came out because I was in high school at the time. I think I was in sophomore year. I'd have to think back to what year it was out because I don't remember. Not to mention that Rian Johnson actually directed 3 episodes of Breaking Bad, and those episodes are arguably the best in the series. And actually, I think his 3 episodes are actually considered part of the top 5 best critically rated episodes. So that's kind of cool. And he is easily one of my favorite modern directors, and I look forward to everything he gets attached to. So, back onto the topic. Speaking of Rian Johnson. Just imagine how loudly I screamed when Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, announced that they had hired Rian Johnson to develop this brand new Star Wars trilogy. I mean, I fucking loved it. This news is great, but also because it's fucking Rian Johnson. And unlike other projects like Solo, A Star Wars Story, the Han Solo movie, whatever you want to call it, and Episode 9, we haven't heard of any behind-the-scenes drama involving anything like unplanned reshoots or infighting with the leadership of Lucasfilm. And actually, if anything, the word of his leadership from Lucasfilm and Disney has been overly positive, so it makes sense that they would want to lock someone in who they have a great working relationship with. And actually, Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm, said in a statement, "We all loved working with Rian on The Last Jedi. He is a creative force, and watching him craft The Last Jedi from start to finish was one of the great joys of my career. Rian will do amazing things with the blank canvas of this new trilogy." And the trilogy is actually said to be separate from the episodic films. I don't know if it's considered like an episodic film itself, or if they're considered episodic films themselves, or if they're anthology films. I really don't know. All I know is that he claims that they're separate from the Skywalker story, so that'll be fun. But Johnson is going to introduce new characters and stories in a corner of the galaxy that has never been explored before in all of Star Wars lore. And also with that, I don't know if he means all of the current canon or even the expanded universe. Whichever one, I really don't care. I'm just glad that we're gonna get this fucking master of a storyteller to give us stuff. And I really hope that you guys see how positive this news is, not only for Star Wars going forward, but just on how The Last Jedi will be received by critics and audience members alike. I can't even begin to get into how excited I am about this shit. I love it. And next topic, but this is also Star Wars news, so I'm getting really giddy right now. In other Star Wars news, not only was it announced that we are getting that new trilogy headlined by Rian Johnson, we are also getting a live-action TV series that will be part of Disney's upcoming streaming service, along with many other original shows for their network, though the identities of the shows are unclear as far as writing the notes. And I actually did look throughout the week. I still haven't seen any announcement for it, but hopefully maybe in the next week or so we'll get some, but I don't know, we'll see. Honestly, we all expected this. This was one of the most requested things from Star Wars fans, including myself, in the fan community for the past couple of years. And as far as the premise around what the show will be, though it's unknown, hey, I mean, just the information that we're getting a live-action Star Wars show instead of another animated show, which we are getting another animated show, but that's for something else. It's good enough for now. Last week was a definite great week to be a Star Wars fan. Oh my god. And we're gonna get into a little bit more negative news, sadly. Among all of the sexual harassment claims that have sparked in the past couple of weeks, we've also gotten reports that the comedian Louis C.K. we had gotten reports about how 5 women had come out saying that he randomly masturbated in front of them. And because of these allegations, as well as the comedian actually coming out personally to confirm the story, a few things happened. His indie film, I Love You, Daddy, has been scrapped. He's lost his contracts with HBO, FX, and Netflix, where all past content has been dropped in future projects, like a 6th season of Louis has been terminated. Honestly, with all of this, after all of this with CK, Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, and Brett Ratner, who knows who else is gonna fall next in the latest trend of sexual harassment scandals. And also, this part wasn't in the notes because I forgot to put them in for later, but a couple of days ago, somebody that I watch on YouTube with Mallory every once in a while, I don't remember what his name was. Shit. Mallory! I think she's asleep. I feel really bad. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He had actually read out the statements from all of those 5 women. Only one of those actually sounded like sexual harassment, and I'll explain. Because that one, she was talking to him on the phone and she could hear him masturbating. That's weird. The other people, actually 3 of them said that he asked if he could masturbate in front of them, and they basically said okay, and then they felt weird about it. That's not sexual harassment. That's consent. They gave their consent. Sure, if he did anything else after that, then it's weird. Then that's actually worse. But they did consent to specifically that, even if they regretted it later. And then one person, he asked, they said no, and he didn't do anything. So literally, I don't want people to just go on the news and say that anything's sexual harassment. If consent was given, even if it's taken back a little bit later, they still did consent. Like, and from what I'm understanding, they didn't show him or tell him that they were uncomfortable until way later, long after it happened. But that's just how I read it. Feel free to tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, I know that I'm not wrong about the consent part, but if you guys can actually show me that that he did keep going even after they said no, then fine, I'll change my tune. Okay, and then this is a smaller topic, but it kind of made me laugh. In smaller news, pretty much every animated film this year has been submitted by their respective studios for as possible Best Animated Feature nominees for the upcoming Academy Awards in February or March. It depends on what it is, or when it is the next year. I had to point this out because there's a few movies in there, when seeing their names mentioned, I had to laugh. And I laughed because they were either films that came out and I didn't like because they were just bad movies, or I haven't seen but their trailers made them look like shit. And these movies include Cars 3, which I will admit, at the end of the movie I liked it, but overall I don't like the movie in general. Despicable Me 3, Smurfs The Lost Village, which I've seen a little bit of, and that movie's shit. The Star, which is like a small Christian thing. I don't know. It looks really stupid from the trailers, and I hate the animation, but who knows, it may actually not be too bad a movie. And then, the last one made me laugh the hardest. The Emoji Movie. If you've seen my Emoji Movie review, you know that I believe that film is one of the worst films ever made. Not in a it's so bad it's good like The Room, more like terrible and fun like Highlander 2 or Battlefield Earth. And I find it funny. Why would you put a movie up for consideration for an Oscar when it has a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes? 9%. And for those of you who don't know how exactly Rotten Tomatoes works, it basically means, okay, the number that's given is the percent of people who are I forgot what the word, who are validated by Rotten Tomatoes as you know, good film critics, and they actually, it's the percentage of people who like the movie. 9% of people like the movie. And I actually checked. 10 out of 107 people who are shown on Rotten Tomatoes liked it. But at the same time, they still admit it's not the best movie. So I don't understand. Anyway, I had to get past that. Okay, and then I believe this is our last topic. Wow, I wrote a lot for this. Jesus. There's a lot of notes in this. Okay, so as for the last topic for the last week, we end on what is for the moment a rumor, and this actually came out. This was the only bit of news that I saw from Sunday night. So, literally, I'm actually already into, I'm already into Monday morning as of filming this, but Sunday, yesterday, the last day of news for this video, came out a rumor, and if it's to be believed, Gal Gadot, who won the world's heart, or at least most of the world's heart, with her portrayal of Wonder Woman, is putting her money where her mouth is. Despite her reprising the role in the sequel to the Patty Jenkins film, Wonder Woman, as well as Jenkins being signed on to direct the sequel, Wonder Woman 2 may actually be in trouble, because Gal Gadot is threatening to leave, and here's why. So we all know about the sexual harassment allegations against Brett Ratner, especially after actress Helen Page came forward with her story on Ratner, and if you're curious about it, look it up. It's pretty fucked up. Now, what does that mean for, or not what does it mean? God damn it. I'm getting a little bit tired. What does Ratner have to do with Wonder Woman 2? Well, Rat Pack Dune Entertainment, the production company, is the main financier for many Warner Brothers films, including films like Dunkirk, Batman vs. Superman, and yes, even Wonder Woman. And Brett Ratner is one of the founders of Rat Pack. And back in 2013, Warner Brothers signed an extremely lucrative deal with Rat Pack, in which the company would finance $450 million in various WB projects, and as I said, they include Dunkirk, Batman vs. Superman, Wonder Woman, Lego Movie, stuff like that. And now, along with everything else, with Gal Gadot, there are some conflicting reports, also rumors, that suggest that Warner Brothers has actually made moves to cut ties with Ratner himself, including taking away his office on the WB lot. But the deal with Rat Pack itself doesn't end until sometime next year. But for the primary I can't speak. For the primary topic, supposedly Gal Gadot has said that if Warner Brothers does not cut off their investment and find a new investment partner other than Rat Pack, or just shoulder the entire cost of the movie, she will not be back for Wonder Woman 2. Now, okay, let's assume all of this is true. For this, I'm actually on Gadot's side. Everybody has that one thing that they will not accept. Or, not one thing. Okay, there are some things that a lot of people will not accept. Everybody has those don't push. Like, don't push the buttons sort of thing. I don't know. That's a bad example. I will not list mine because there are too many, but I will go ahead and say, like, as an example. If I had to work with anybody, and if I went to another job, and I was at an interview, and I found out that during that interview, or a little bit before, that one of the people in there that I would have to work under was a convicted sexual predator, especially a pedophile, I will not work with them. Absolutely fucking not. I will not work with a child molester. It seems that Gal Gadot obviously will not tolerate sexual predators. And that's well within her right. I mean, now most of you remember that I've been very critical of Gadot's acting career. While I did think that she did a better job in her own standalone film than she did in Batman vs. Superman, I still think she's got a long way to go before I'll consider her a good actress. Now, I don't want her to leave. I want her to keep going. I want to see her, I want to see her improve and become a better actress. But honestly, if she has to leave because staying would violate her principles, then you know what? I would actually be willing to stand with her and protest. And whether or not WB actually does cut ties with Rat Pack as a whole, or Gal Gadot leads, I have gained a newfound respect for her. That woman is amazing. Anyway, that's it for the movie news for the last week, and that'll do it for me today on my first show of Last Week in Cinema. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. I want to make this a more permanent thing, so just tell me in the comments section down below, like, you know, how you think I did, you know, how I can improve, maybe make the show, you know, help the pace a bit. I don't know how to talk, I swear to God. But yeah, I want to keep doing this, and I want to know if there's some ways that I can make it better. Maybe add some things to the lineup. Not necessarily the news topics, but like I added that extra thing before with the weekend box office that didn't really count as news. I want to see if you guys think I should put in anything extra in there. Anyway, like I said, thanks again for watching. I'm rambling. Please help support the channel by subscribing if you haven't already, and also be sure to check out the rest of my channel. I've got plenty of movie reviews. I mean, I'm just starting out. I've only been doing this since late February, early March, so I'm not even a year in, so I haven't got too many videos up, but yeah, just come back, see my reviews, old and new, and come back on Monday to see the next installment of this show of Last Week in Cinema. Farewell until the next video. Bye, guys.